The Rest in Peace Trilogy is the third entry to the Action Indie Pack, a series of smaller top-down shooters that are unfortunate missed opportunities, even for its $5 price tag. The first Rest in Peace comes with two modes, Story and Rush. The only difference between these two modes is that Story mode has you killing a certain amount of enemies until you reach the next level, and Rush mode just has you killing as many enemies as you can before you die. You can go about these modes playing as three different characters, and when I mean different, I mean they look different and they have a specific one-liner they like to repeat over and over again. In-game, you're basically in a turret. You have to slaughter all enemies that try to get to you and blow up your turret. Your turret has a machine gun that can either fire a single shot or go full burst, but then you can get other power-ups by holding your cursor over the specific power-up until it disappears and comes to you. The power-ups are definitely useful, such as a shield, a shotgun, and grenades, but I wasn't having fun. The weapons just lack the satisfying punch that Larva Mortis had, and they aren't very creative either, and the enemies don't adapt to the environment they're in result of getting stuck behind the walls while trying to get to you. When you kill enough enemies, you can choose 1 out of 3 skill points, which just give you a specific stat boost. Rest in Peace doesn't have that crazy destructive gameplay I came to expect from other top-down shooters. It's too basic and not very imaginative. Unfortunately, Rest in Peace 2 is the exact same game. The only difference being you can move around instead of just being in a turret, and where Rest in Peace 1 had a leaderboard system for rush mode, Rest in Peace 2 doesn't. Or at least not that I'm aware of. Rest in Peace 3 is a lot better, having the destructive chaos I did come to expect from top-down shooters. But it's still full of problems. First, I'll get the good out of the way. The gameplay is more entertaining, thanks to a good variety of enemies, weapons that pack a lot more punch, and that you can experience the entire game in local co-op. The game also has some decent tank missions, where you cause havoc all around you in, well, a tank. And one mission that I really enjoyed, that places you in a turret, but one that you can teleport to different directions and angles. The game also has a much more improved presentation, with some visually interesting environments, and a much more elaborate skill system. That being said, Rest in Peace 3 isn't enough to forgive the entire package. One from being just a third of the package. The other comes from the game's forgettable save the world plot to explain why you're blowing things up. The only narrative bits you get in this game are a few still image cutscenes that last for about a few sentences explaining what you're currently doing and what you need to do next. And they usually appear whenever you've forgotten about the story. Plus, the sound design and enemy AI have not improved at all. You can choose between 6 characters, but they share the same problem as the first two of lacking a distinctive difference. The sound design is a little irritating, especially the one-liners that get repeated over and over again, but the soundtrack is pretty catchy. The enemy AI still don't interact with the environment they're in, once again getting stuck behind walls and sometimes even on walls. While Rest in Peace 3 is the best out of the series, it's also the easiest, as even boss fights don't pose much of a threat, some that could be defeated in seconds. And while I was having fun as opposed to Rest in Peace 1 and 2, boredom still eventually got to me, especially when the game sometimes puts you back in the same exact environments that you were in another level, but with a different set of enemies. Rush mode has also been replaced by an online deathmatch that you really can't experience unless if you have online friends to play with. Overall, Rest in Peace could have been worse, but it definitely could have been better as well. Rest in Peace 3 is a decent top-down shooter, but it's the only one worth playing out of the entire package. I cannot recommend the Rest in Peace trilogy. You'd be getting just as much enjoyment out of this entire package as you would out of a single Flash game. The only difference being you would be paying $5 for it. This is Chase from Indie Game, signing off.